The movie begins by introducing a new teacher named Henry Chen. Henry is applying for a teaching job at Takchi High School. But the interview doesn't go well because he doesn't have much experience in teaching. Henry then gives a letter to the principal. After reading it, the principal changes his mind and hires Henry as a teacher. On his first day of teaching, Henry is assigned to a class with naughty students. As expected, when he walks into the classroom, the students seem not interested, busy doing different things like cooking, playing games, and relaxing as if they were at home. Even though Henry tries to get their attention. But the students make fun of his writing on the blackboard because it's not good. Then he gives his phone number to the students, but they play a trick on him by calling and telling him to go away. Using his cleverness, Henry throws chalk at a water sprinkler, making all the students wet. But he's ready with an umbrella. This finally makes the students pay attention to him. During the break, some students gathered in a corner of the school, smoking cigarettes. Among them were Jack Lee, Gladys Wong, Gordon Hong, and Bruce Kwan with his twin brothers, Chris Kwan. They were planning to get rid of Henry from their school. Suddenly, a group of basketball players came and made them leave the place. Later that day, Jack and his friends decided to get back at the basketball players. While watching a basketball game, Jack quickly threw his water bottle onto the court, making one of the players slip and fall. Sadly, Miss Liang saw what happened. Jack got detention as a consequence and was given lots of sentences to copy. Instead of doing his punishment, Jack put a caterpillar on the paper and gave it to Miss Liang. This prank made her very upset, causing her to spill tea on her desk and make a mess in her workspace. The next day, people from the education department came to Takchi High School. Meanwhile, Henry got to the school and got ready for teaching. But when he went into his classroom, he discovered that his students had set up traps. Luckily, he cleverly avoided getting soaked by a bucket of water and returned fire at the student who set it up. Henry kept on teaching despite the interruptions, creating a fun atmosphere in the classroom. He got his students involved by asking 3 questions about cigarettes. Those who answered right could leave. His creative teaching method got the class excited, and they became eager to participate. However, the education department officials noticed that his classroom was too crowded. During the break, Jack got into a fight with the basketball players in the school cafeteria. So, Jack and his friends got kicked out of school. Jack argued that it wasn't fair because only they got expelled, not the basketball team members. When Henry found out about Jack's situation, he decided to talk to the principal on their behalf. Henry went up to Jack and his friends, giving them a form to fill out. While the others took it, Jack left school without completing it. Henry, worried about his students, started to investigate. He gathered information from the school office and found out that the students came from different backgrounds and had various problems. Gordon, who was of Pakistani origin, was teased by other students because he loved singing and had dark skin. Gladys, who was a bit of a tomboy, didn't get much attention from her parents, especially her father, who preferred boys. Even though she tried to look like a boy, her father didn't seem to care. She dreamt of becoming a racer one day. Bruce and Chris, twin brothers from a tough background, went through parental neglect and abuse. Their mom left them for a richer man, and their dad was often drunk and angry. One day, the principal tells Adam about how the school is getting worse, with students consistently scoring low on tests. Also, the education department might close the school because it's not doing well. Meanwhile, we see Jack, who's not in school anymore, working as a waiter in a restaurant. While working, he hears rich people talking about plans to destroy Takchi High School by the end of the year to make money from the land. At that moment, Jack takes a golden match belonging to Kane Law, a well-known gangster boss, while he and his friends watch a horse race on TV. But Kane's men catch Jack stealing, and they beat him up badly. Kane figures out Jack goes to Takchi High School and calls him, offering him a job. Meanwhile, Henry visits Gordon, who's being chased by thugs in his neighborhood for stealing a concert ticket from his dad. Luckily, Henry steps in and saves Gordon. Then he takes Gordon to the city's waterfront and tells him to embrace his singing talent. Gordon is asked to perform in front of a crowd, and surprisingly, he does really well, which boosts his confidence a lot. The next day, Henry looks for the twins, Chris and Bruce. He meets their dad and gives him some advice on parenting. Then he asks Chris and Bruce to come to a counseling session. They're surprised to find out that their dad works as a counselor there. The dad and his sons have an open talk, sharing their feelings, and trying to make things better in their relationship. Meanwhile, Gladys is teaching her little brother when her dad interrupts, wanting her to put on the makeup he bought. It turns out that Gladys is being pushed into an arranged marriage, which upsets her because she doesn't like looking very girly. In rebellion, she takes her dad's car but meets Henry. Henry takes her to a racing event and encourages her to join. But he also invites Gladys's dad and challenges him to a race. Everyone is surprised when Gladys wins. After winning, Gladys's dad makes fun of her and challenges her to a dangerous race on the road. Without thinking twice, they start the race, but her dad hurts his hand in an accident. Gladys quickly goes to help him, narrowly avoiding getting hit by another car. Seeing how brave she is, her dad realizes how much he cares about her. Touched by this, Gladys and her dad make up, and their relationship becomes good again. Now, we see Jack going to Kane's place and getting offered a job. Kane, who turns out to be a fighter, has a match the next day. Jack's job is to put a drug in his opponent's drink to help Kane win. At first, Jack isn't sure, but he eventually agrees to do it. Meanwhile, Henry goes to visit Jack's family and finds out that Jack lives alone with his grandma. At home, Jack is different. He really loves his grandma and talks to her about his life, like why he's not in school. On the night of the match, Jack goes to do his job but gets caught. Then, he gets tortured by the MMA fighters. Henry comes looking for Jack, but the fighters won't let him see him. Eventually, Henry stands up to them and shows his fighting skills by beating them, and he saves Jack, who is locked up. They both get taken to the police station, but Kane and Jack get let go because there's not enough proof to show they started the fight. And Kane decides not to tell the police about what happened. Henry takes Jack home, where they see Jack's grandma working hard. Seeing this makes Jack want to change and go back to school, so he can make life better for his grandma. Suddenly, a video of Henry fighting from a security camera comes out and lots of people see it online. It turns out Henry used to go to Tak Chi school, then he want to learn about fighting in America, but now he's back in Hong Kong. When everyone finds out about his past, his students respect him a lot more, and they start to enjoy learning from him. Later that day, Jack and his friends got together, talking about their dreams of going to college. Around that time, Chris was worried he wouldn't pass his test, doubting if he was smart enough. To try to get smarter, Chris decided to buy a drug he thought could help. He started taking it a lot, even before a practice test. But even though he tried hard, Chris got the lowest score out of everyone. The next day, feeling really frustrated, Chris pretended to be sick so he didn't have to go to school, and he even thought about hurting himself. Chris's attempt to hurt himself got a lot of attention around the country, with news about what happened spreading everywhere. Henry was blamed for what happened to Chris and got a lot of negative attention. People from the education ministry questioned if he should still be a teacher because of a video showing him fighting. Even though people were looking at him closely, Henry said he didn't do anything wrong and defended himself. But he still got kicked out of Tak Chi High School, and his students were really upset to lose their teacher. As a way of saying thank you to Henry, his students decided to do really well in their studies to stop the school from closing. They also showed how Henry's teaching made them want to work hard and do well in school. Surprisingly, the test scores of the students at Tak Chi High School got a lot better. In the end, their school stayed open, which made Kane really mad because he couldn't do what he wanted there. On exam day, everyone was waiting for Henry to come. But then, Kane and his friends showed up and took away their phones and locked them in the school to stop them from taking the test. They wanted to make them do badly, so the school would close next year. But Henry came out of nowhere, beat up Kane's friends, and told his students to take the test anyway. After that, Henry ended up fighting Kane, who really didn't like him. Kane was mad at Henry because in the past, Henry broke Kane's arm, so he couldn't play the piano anymore. Also, Henry beat Kane in a taekwondo match, which made Kane want revenge. But in the end, Henry won the fight. Instead of hurting Kane, Henry stabbed his own leg, letting Kane go. Surprisingly, all the students passed their exams at the end of the year, so Tak Chi High School stayed open. The school did really well and became one of the best high schools. Henry got his job back as a teacher at Tak Chi High School, which was a great ending to everything. So the moral of the story is if life throws water balloons at you, make sure you have an umbrella and a bucket of chalk ready.